often talks about barbershop law or hairstylist law, or like you said, talking to your church friends. And so there's a lot of myths out there, and there's some truths to be seen or to know about, and you can learn those through elder advisors. Okay, so Larry, let's talk about that a little bit, about some of the things you may have heard that are not true, and some of the things that are absolutely true if you get the help of elder advisors.
Yeah, one of the big misnomers out there is people will say, well, I talked to a friend or whatever that mom or dad can gift us $15,000. And for tax planning, that's perfectly fine and very accurate and perhaps apt. But for Medicaid filing, Mr. Langdon, elder law superstar attorney, what's the reality of that one?
That will not be good, because you're talking about Medicaid math compared to IRS tax math.
Right.
They are not the same thing.
Right.
There are very specific rules for filing for Medicaid. There are certain ways that you can gift certain things. We just got to do it the right way, and that's where it really helps to come in at the workshop and hear some of those things that we can do for you.
And to pick up on that theme, John, a lot of people, because Steve, being the attorney, will talk about power of attorney and the importance of having it. And we've had people say in real time, well, you know, I want to control everything, and I'll give it to my son when I need to give it to my son. Is that a good strategy, Steve Langdon?
No, that's an opportunity, unfortunately, for a train wreck. You really have to have the tools available ahead of time,
yep,
so when the crisis hits, that your children or whoever it may be, your loved one, your wife, your husband, can step in and make sure that your assets are protected. If you don't have those tools ahead of time, you're really looking for a bad and sorry situation.
And a family that Autumn and I were with yesterday, they're coming back Friday at 1 o'clock. It's a husband and wife situation. He did not have power of attorney, but he now has guardianship, temporary guardianship, as a matter of fact. The problem there is I'm trying to get everything done in the month of March, so this gentleman does not have to write a check for $8,000 to the nursing home. For that to happen, we have to notify these 3 or 4 different financial institutions that his wife has, not only that there's a guardianship in place, but I'm hoping they'll accept the guardianship. And what happens more often than not with the guardianship, Steve?
Well, a lot of times these financial institutions, they don't want to accept whether it's a power of attorney written by somebody else who maybe only on the side does power of attorneys, or something we get off the internet, or it's a guardianship from a court that hasn't focused on estate planning and asset preservation. If the attorney doesn't do this work and do it all the time, if he doesn't focus or she doesn't focus on this work, what you're going to find is a lot of financial institutions are not going to cooperate with you.
Larry, can you and Autumn talk a little bit about the importance of placement? Is placement different depending on each individual circumstance, and the importance of that? I guess what I'm saying is getting the right fit is important, correct?
Well, it certainly is, especially if we can catch a family where they call and say, you know, mom or dad is still at the hospital, the case manager has some calls out for a long-term care community. It's even more important that we be engaged, because what happens a lot of times is, you know, a family may have modest assets, and what happens a lot of times, this is what I've sometimes alluded to on the show, kind of the dirty little secret here, is some of these communities will not allow the families to transition to benefits. They want a private pay, private pay, private pay. Well, what happens if family's out of money or really doesn't have a whole lot of money? They got to move mom again. Well, who wants to do that and move them twice? If we can catch them at the beginning, then Autumn has the ability to reach out to communities and get answers of yes, as opposed to where families call and they will get no. And that's where Autumn, as our rising superstar, has really honed her craft now with placement, because it can be very stressful for families. They have no idea what they're in for. So the sooner we can catch them, the better we can help.
Yeah, it's obvious that everyone on this panel here is very knowledgeable about what you do, but Autumn, I think it would have to, there's got to be a compassion component too, to make sure that mom and dad are helped, or, you know, they're happy. That's important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. That's a really big part of the whole thing. I mean, you don't just want to, you know, stick somebody wherever. I mean, you really want to take the time and understand, you know, what their feelings are. Is it close by? Are they able to travel there? Sometimes you've got a wife in the nursing home and a husband's just not able to go 30 minutes away, so you want to try to work with the facility. And, you know, it's really tough, because also sometimes I can't, you know, make that happen in a week or two. It could be 2 months out. So if you're really thinking that, you know, it could be a possibility now or 6 months from now, you know, come in, because I want to make sure that we can get the facility that is close to your home that you do prefer. for your loved one, because waiting until last minute, we can work with that, but it makes it really hard, and we want to be able to do the best that we can do for each family.
But to sing Autumn's praises, I've also seen her do it on the other extreme, which was she was able to place someone in real time with the family at our boardroom at our New Albany office.
Got very fortunate that time.
Yeah,
it happened in 10 minutes.
But she's done it in real time because she has the business office manager's personal cell phones, and they know when Autumn is calling. She's not calling to waste their time. She's calling because fundamentally a community, they want paid, John. Right. They want paid, and they want information, and that's something that we help make happen every time.
We basically just hold the client's hand and kind of the nursing home at the same time, because I have to keep them in the loop of when they're going to get a liability, or when they're going to get their private pay, or it might be 2 months before Medicaid picks up, but I just let them know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how much they're going to be able to pay. And there's just a lot of little things that all kind of come together to make it whole. But
John, that's what's so important. I mean, it's so vital for folks if they have that, just what Autumn said, if they have an inkling that there may be a crisis on the horizon, to either make a phone call either to my law firm, CLLB Law, or to Elder Advisors, or come to the workshop, sit down, and get that information you're going to need, because you've got to have a plan together for that crisis. Whether it's an inkling, a suspicion, a perhaps, a maybe, you've got to be ready for it.
Freeworkshop.com. We can't stress this enough. And I know it's much more complex than this, Larry, but really the goal is this. If you can put money in your pocket, Mom and Dad worked hard for that. If you don't have to pay it out, why do it? And you guys know the rules. You know how to, I don't want to say play the game, because to me that makes it sound like it's a little levity here. It's a very serious game.
Right, and Steve has said many times, we're ramping up to tax season. Terry Graham at DMO Accounting is doing my taxes. They do a lot of my clients' taxes. I've never said, Terry, I want to pay more than I have to in taxes. Right. And Steve, it's no different with asset protection here.
No, absolutely. It's the same thing. I mean, we just want to take advantage of the rules that
are there for everybody.
They're there for everybody. We just want to make sure we use them for our clients' best interest. That's all we're doing. So we take advantage of the rules to be able to preserve assets.
All right. And you guys, we're moving forward here. We're hoping that, with the vaccine and the numbers are going down. We're back to the workshop. So tell them again, invite them out there, Larry.
Yeah, come on out, Kentucky, and it's okay. We got beautiful weather. It's going to be in the 60s next week. Monday, 6 o'clock at the Hilton Garden Inn, right off exit 132 off Crittenden at the Louisville Airport. And then Tuesday morning, March 9th at the Hampton Inn in Clarksville, right off of Broadway. Freeworkshop.com. It's there. It'll have fun.
Don't go broke at a nursing home. We'll be right back on Wave 3 Listens.
If you've been injured in